Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and Oscar noms came out today. For those of you who care, which at this point, let's be realistic, let's be fair, not a lot of people actually give a crap about the Oscars, right? Not a lot of people actually tune in to watch anymore. We know that over the span of the last 5 or 6 years, the ratings have gone down. It's, I think, now around 17 million people are watching, which is not that many. Now, granted, I don't know how many people are tuning in after the fact to watch the VOD on, let's say, Hulu or online or something. But what I do know is most people who do pay attention via Twitter or social media and don't actually watch the show because they don't care about the pomp and circumstance that revolves around the entire experience. What they care about is just knowing who won, who gets the golden statue, who gets to go home with Oscar gold. That's all they care about. But today we get something that is beautiful and wonderful, and I love it. And I think this image here absolutely just completely exemplifies my thoughts on this one because The Joker, a movie that was labeled as being the next Elliot Rodger simulator, right? The creator of the next Elliot Rodger event or Columbine or Parkland or whatever is now going on to be nominated for a grand total of 11 Oscars, showing us here Best Picture, Director, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Costume Design. 11 Oscars. It actually beats out The Dark Knight from 2008. So, 12 years ago when The Dark Knight came out, this movie beats out its entire list. And the thing is, to a lot of people out there, it's worth it. It's a worthy movie to win this kind of award. Now, again, the people on Twitter, Film Twitter is really upset at this right now. Film Twitter is freaking out over this because they're like, but wait, Greta Gerwig didn't get nominated for Little Women, but Joker did? Yeah, Joker's a better movie. No, granted, I haven't seen Little Women, so I can't really give my full thoughts on it. I have seen Joker. I like Joker quite a bit. Little Women, in my mind, is one that it's like I might see, but I'm in no real rush to actually go and check out because it's just another adaptation. It's just another one of those rehash stories out of Hollywood that they do every couple years. And you're like, all right, well, I've already kind of seen this. Like I saw the Winona Ryder movie from back in the 90s, so I've seen Little Women. Greta Gerwig directing. It could be Greta Gerwig. It could be Steven Spielberg. It could be whomever. It's not going to be a different story. The story of Little Women stays the same, but the origin story of the Joker was interesting because of how it wrapped into classism, how it wrapped into government failings of its citizens, how it wrapped into mental health problems. Like, for example, I went to dinner at Applebee's last night, and I'm at Applebee's, and I overhear the manager and the patron having a conversation at the bar, and the manager and the patron are having a conversation about Joker, and they both love Joker. And they talked about how the mental health failings of our society is what they were bringing up inside the movie and how it got them thinking and talking about mental health problems, mental health issues. And for me, that's a pretty big deal because I've been advocating for that for a while anyway. I've been saying that this is why the movie is as important as it is, not because it glorifies violence. It doesn't glorify violence in my opinion, but it talks about how when you have systemic failures in our society like mental health and government programs and how that can ultimately hurt people. And that gets brought up quite a bit in conversations and people talked about it a lot. There's a reason why it grossed over $1 billion. And that has everything to do with the fact that the audience received it warmly. What I find to be funny, though, is this article here on Variety asking the question, will Joker finally kill Hollywood's award bias against comic book movies? Written by Adam B. Very. And a lot of people are very quick to remind Adam here that, The Dark Knight was a comic book movie that Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor for. So like Heath Ledger already won that posthumously back in 2009. So it's not like it hasn't been seen. And then also last year, Black Panther was up for a numerous amount of awards, and it actually ended up winning, I think it won one of them, right? One costuming, which I think that it deserved. It was really good. So, there's the bias there obviously is in some of the top tier categories. Black Panther being nominated for Best Picture was one of those scenarios where you're just kind of laughing because it doesn't deserve it at all. Like it's a really mediocre movie it's a good Marvel movie, but as far as like talking about anything really significant socially or socio-politically. Like it tried with the Killmonger storyline, but it didn't really, it landed in some aspects, but didn't land in a lot of other aspects. But this one, its socio-political message landed on a lot of aspects because this is more about, a real world type scenario. Something like this could happen. Not to say that it would happen, and there's a lot that went into it that's clearly made up and fake and everything else. But Joker, it talked about these issues that needed to be talked about. And that's why people resonated with it. The fact that film Twitter is mad at the movie makes me happy, because the people that spent a month smearing this movie before it even came out, trying to say that it was going to do all of these horrible, terrible things, never once apologized for what they said. Never once apologized for attacking the director and the actor and the people who worked on the movie. Never once apologized when the success started coming on in. They just rolled with it. They tried to memory hole it, thinking that it would never come back again. People don't forget. I don't forget, because I got really mad at that. And those people, those film journalists, you can tell have a political agenda, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it for why they should be doing it. And that's my take on it. That's my take on the situation as to why I feel that the whole thing is pretty effed up. But I'm glad to see that the Joker is going to be getting nominated for all these awards. Whether or not it wins, I have no idea, but the nominations are key. Up for 11, it's going to win some. I would argue probably Best Picture, definitely Best Actor, probably Best Adapted Screenplay, maybe Best Makeup, right? Maybe Best Costuming. And production design too was also really good. The fact that they recreated 1981 New York, and they made it look like 1981 New York, it being as dirty and trashy as it was back then. People don't realize that a lot of the VFX budget was really going to make New York look as crappy as it could, make it look as much as it could, like it did back in the 1980s. But they just, flipped it for Gotham. Anyway, I'm very happy this movie is doing as well as it did, both financially, both critically, audience-wise, and the fact that it's going to completely BTFO all of these keyboard warriors who tried to smear something before the vast majority of people could see it. They have egg on their face. They'll never acknowledge they have egg on their face, but they should. They should come out. They should apologize. They should say that they were wrong, and that's all they have to do is just go, we were wrong. It was a bad hot take, and no one died. There was no injury. There was no one hurt. We got it wrong. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you've made mistakes. But in this case, they're not going to do that because they don't want to. They don't want to make it appear like they've done anything wrong. They just want to memory hole it. And they're going to memory hole it all the way to the Joker winning a lot of awards. And I'm looking forward to those articles that are going to come out on, let's say, Slash Film, that are going to be like, oh, the Joker won all these awards. And then they're going to like praise the movie. Never mind the fact that the owner and operator of Slash Film, Peter Sciretta, was running his mouth the day the first reviews dropped, saying this movie was effectively going to cause violence. And he doubled down on that. He kept going with that. And when the movie came out and nothing was said, I think he addressed it in a podcast, never made a public statement on Twitter or on his website, even though he was using both of those platforms to effectively bash the movie. And that's what I'm talking about. That kind of absolute cowardice, because that's exactly what it is. So don't let these people memory hold this stuff. If you saw some bad takes, hold on to those bad takes. And if they bring it up again, by all means, use it. And I maybe shouldn't say that. I maybe shouldn't say to hold people's feet to the fire over this, but mental health is a massive problem in our country. Mental health is a huge issue in our country. And the fact of the matter is that when people out there need help and the system was failing them, as we saw in this movie, bad things could potentially happen. And if people like the Applebee's manager and the patron are talking about how mental health issues are important, because those are scars we don't see. Those are wounds that are invisible. We don't actually get the opportunity to look at those. We just have to assume that people are normal, but we don't know if they're normal. Like I'm in therapy, I'm on antidepressants, right? Like I've had mental health problems for a long time, and I'm not ashamed of any of it because there's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm actively seeking to get myself better, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need to have more conversations to destigmatize mental health, and Joker did a good thing of trying to really raise up the conversation surrounding it. But no, these people just attack the movie because they live in this weird echo chamber bubble of Los Angeles, or in the little weird film Twitter echo chamber bubble, and they go, oh, well, I have to beat my chest and sound so important that this movie's going to hurt people, when it never did. There are actual problems in this world that need addressing. There are actual problems in this world that need to be talked about. But no, you want to attack a movie that's trying to draw attention to mental health, and you don't realize that you're part of the problem. You are so part of the problem. And I'm actually really glad that the very progressive new leadership of the Academy actually made this happen. And that's true. A couple years ago, there was a big push against the Academy, right? The whole Oscar so white campaign. And so they changed up leadership. They opened it up to more people. They started removing older white voters that weren't active in Hollywood anymore, and they really kind of made it more inclusive and more diverse and more representative of today's film industry. And the today's film industry gave this 11 Oscar nominations. So you can complain all you want about that. You're all just full of crap. You're all just going to cry. And that's all. This movie's going to make some awards, and the salt's going to be there. But really, you should apologize for the BS, apologize for the crap, and just admit you are wrong. And that's all you got to do. Because you trying to sit there and say that this movie is going to cause people to hurt somebody else is going to make somebody who saw it and wanted to have a talk about the conversation of mental health. Maybe they're feeling something, they're feeling down, and they're going to look at the way that the response is maybe from their favorite movie bloggers, and they're going to go, well, I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to be ostracized. I don't want to be attacked for how I feel, or maybe question how I feel, or maybe not know how to interpret things. But clearly they don't want to have that conversation. Clearly, even though this movie resonated with me is on a personal level, I can't have that conversation with them because they don't want to talk about it. And the fact that they don't want to talk about it is the problem. And yes, I'm getting upset because that is the problem. They've lied. They have misled, and then they memory hold. That is dangerous, especially in this world. And people have problems, and people need help. And you demonizing a movie that talks about it from, yes, the perspective of a comic book villain, but it got the conversation going. It's almost like you wanted violence, so you could then go, I was right. And then when you're wrong, you refuse to say anything. And that is so effed up. Anyway, your guys' thoughts, your guys' opinions on this one. Kind of went off on a tangent, I admit. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you made it this far, do me a solid and type Joker in the comment box. And if you've done that and you want to support the channel, Patreon, best way to do it. I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.